Hello and welcome to In Conversation,
a series presented by Arts from Home featuring discussions with local Toronto creators. I'm Alyssa.
I'm Jaya.
And I'm Savannah, and these are the personal stories behind professional and community success. Rachael-Lea Rickards is a writer, playwright, actor, creative consultant, founder, talk show host, just to name a few of her exceptional endeavors. She was part of the original cast of Trey Anthony's "To Kink in My Hair," which was later adapted into a television series that she acted in and wrote and consulted on. She also founded Broadway-bound Theatre Academy, a theater and performance group in Toronto focused on supporting, educating, and uplifting children of color.
She hosted her own talk show on Facebook called Real Talk with Rachael-Lea, has organized creative dating and relationship events around the city, co-wrote the play I'm Not a Dinnerman, the crap women swallow to stay in a relationship, co-founded Kinky Dinner Productions, supported the May Be Me campaign to prevent violence against diverse women and youth.
And she is the self-proclaimed head troublemaker and creator of Real Talk Candles, candles that start the conversation, which is one of my Real Talk candles right here that I would like to share with you guys that says, well, that didn't end well. Smells like burn that candle and move on, girl, which I absolutely love. And I currently have the flavor Lavender Sage. All of her candles, which have many, many captions, can be found on realtalkcandles.com. You can also check out her Instagram page, Real Talk Candles. And also for the people that are, a little bit questioning, like, are candles really good for us and stuff like that? It's all made natural ingredients with soy blend. So definitely don't have to worry about the health of anything. It smells great. Nothing's going to happen. And honestly, you get to laugh or cry or be angry and just burn it and let it go. So check out Real Talk Candles. So Rachael-Lea is also the executive producer of Soul Sessions, which is featuring the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, R&B, and soul with many different up-and-coming artists within the city of Toronto. So definitely check that out as well. And she will be continuing to promote these events after COVID is done. They are currently hosting their live sessions, but we definitely want to get the crowd out there once we are able to all get together.
Came out of college, started this sketch comedy troupe called Platform Entertainment. Not like height, but like a braid, because there was 3 of us. And the audience started at like 14 people, maybe, were in the audience. And it was in a library. And we stood outside on the sidewalk and went, hey, want to see a show? Want to see a show? Want to see a show? Mm-hmm. And it was like, maybe 14 people showed up and they came in and they're like, okay, whatever, we'll take pity on them and watch the show. And then someone at Harborfront gave us a chance and said, hey, these, they're funny. It was just not me. It was also a brother and sister team. So there was actually 4 of us. And then we started doing sketch comedy. I'm Jamaican. And so Trace from England, she also has a Jamaican background, and the other 2 people were also Caribbean. So we did what we know best, and we did some Caribbean sketch comedy, and that grew. And then Trey wrote The Kink, and we traveled it. We went to the Fringe Festival. We're in the Fringe Festival in Toronto. Then we went to New York. Actually, the stage when we were in New York leaked. Like, that's how tiny this little theater was, that it rained and water came onto the stage. And we just kept on going. I think one of the actors made a joke about she didn't pay the plumber or something like that. And we just kind of went with it,
That's great.
And then we went to New York. We went to Nova Scotia. And then someone from the Mirvishes saw us. And then we did a small run. So they didn't put us on, the Princess of Wales, but I think they agreed. I was not in this run, but I think they agreed to somewhat support this run at Theatre Pass Marais. And then we went on to do Princess of Wales. And then we actually went to England for a month, and we performed. And that was an amazing experience to be in another country now, New York was exciting, but it was like England, and it was really, really, it just kind of gave possibilities, right? That these chubby, I like the whole cast of The Kink, all right? chubby, not models, short, kinky hair before kinky hair was cool. Like right now, natural hair with Black women, super cool. But 15 years ago, it was not cool. It was, it's literally now chemically straightening your hair as a Black woman isn't cool. But back then, everybody had the bone straight. You know what I mean? But the cast, they were just this eclectic group of Black women with our own dynamics as well, which were quite interesting. Me being fair-skinned, I was the only fair-skinned one in the play, and those dynamics caused issues amongst us as well, because there was that light-skin privilege, the walk of a dark-skinned woman, the texture of her hair, like all of that. And so while it was a play, we were also finding our identity within this play. And it would shock me at the Princess of Wales. This one woman, God bless her, this one woman walked up to us because we would always go out and greet the audience. And that's how our audiences grew. We took the time when we were small to go out and shake every single person's hand and say, thank you for coming. If you loved it, tell one person. And that is how our audiences grew. Mm-hmm. And so when we were at Mirvish, we would still go out and shake hands and thank people for coming. And this one white woman comes up to us. She's like, I just love you guys. I just love you, Black women. You don't even care what you look like. You're up there just dancing and dancing. You don't care about your bodies. You're just dancing. Just there. We were like, oh, you dance. You don't care what you look like. I was shocked. And then there was another night where a woman came up to all of us and she turned to me and she goes, because we used our, throughout the play, some of the characters used Jamaican dialect. We used the language. She turns to me and she goes, oh, you guys were so great. How did you learn to speak like them? I'm like, pardon?
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, how did you learn to speak like them? It was
wild.
There was so much quiet racism. I always say between Canada and the States is we're quietly racist. Quietly. Right? Like or the lack of knowledge. There's just that lack of knowledge. Like even the, I think it was the Toronto Star. I'm not sure what newspaper it was. But they were like, you know how like on a play, it'll say 4 stars, brilliant, engaging, da-da-da-da-da. They give us, I think, 4 or 3.5 stars. It's like Caravana on stage. Is it? Is that what it is? Or is it a play? Like, it was just unbelievable.
Like constant identity with, like, having to like, say Black. Like, this is special because it's like taking away from, it's already good in itself.
Yeah.
It's having to have to label it. Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's okay to label it. Label it. Label it. Say it's a Black play. We made more money than the Lord of the Rings on stage at Mirvish. Label it. Yes, please do. We were the first Canadian play to be on a Mirvish stage. The first Canadian, and we were the first all-female, and we were the first all-Black female production at the Princess of Wales. But it was just, not to down the Mirvishes. We got an opportunity. I'll always be thankful for that. But like just little things, like they never put our sign up. Like, when they have the sign when you're driving on the road and you see the big,
Mm-hmm.
they never put one up. And still we made them a ton of money. But it was the Black play,
Yeah.
It wasn't Lion King. It was the Black play. It was the Black girls. So do I think it's changed? I think there'll always be a challenge. It's part of the reason why I met Jaya, because I decided, so after the Kink in My Hair play, we did the TV show, and I started to write for the TV show. I don't love writing for television as much as I love the freedom of theater, but we had a little tiny space in the back of the writing office, and I was like, there's a little stage here. Maybe I'll just do a little March break. I don't think, Jaya, you had come quite yet. And I did, I think it was Hairspray, just little like clips. And it was like the first time I really wanted to unapologetically create a space for children of color, children that didn't look pretty much my history. If it was the tall, kind of lanky little boy, I made sure I put him up front, or if it was the little chubby girl, I made sure that she had a starring role. Like, I just made sure, I guess you could say, I was trying to heal myself with some of those things through these children.
You did mention, this is like a common phrase to hear, but as you said, you have to work 4 or 5 times harder as a woman of color.
Oh, for sure.
How do you feel like that impacted just like how you thought about going about doing things? If that makes sense. For me, psychologically, what impacts does that have?
For me, I recognize that I have a privilege of being fair. And so the way I walk through the world is a lot different than some of my very close best friends who are just happen to be dark skinned. Can I say that I ever had major barriers put in front of me because I was Black? I don't think I can say that. I had more barriers because I was overweight. I actually had more barriers sometimes within my own community because there's that constant need to prove my Blackness. Biracial is a whole other conversation, so I sat on this fence where the white people were like, well, you're not really Black. Like, that was so frustrating. And then on the other side, the Black people would be like, well, you're not really Black. So it'd be definitely frustrating. But in regards to psychologically, how did hearing you have to work 5 times harder? I felt like I had to work 10 times harder because I had other barriers like body image and, not being this model beauty. And so it pushed me to work hard, and I work hard, and I consistently make space for myself. And whether it's building something from the ground up like Broadway Bound, or jumping on board with soul sessions, or creating my whole line of candles, or doing the talk show, I don't have, nor do I wish to wait on people to tell me it's okay to do something, or it's okay to create something. I never, it's why I didn't like auditions. I suck in auditions, and I don't want you to tell me if I'm good enough or not. I just create my own space.
There's so much that you've said that has covered things we wanted to talk about, which is amazing. I'm incredibly inspired listening to you talk. It's very, it's very moving, and I appreciate the advice. Something that I think about a lot, especially in the stories you told about your experiences at Mirvish, is so Alyssa and I both studied at Humber College, which is a jazz program, and it's a music education, I think, across the board in Canada is predominantly white and predominantly male run. And I think generally that's a problem, obviously. And so, you know, and yeah, and gender inequity and that kind of thing. And I think generally the source of that starts very young, right? Like it's, you know, access as kids, and there's like so many reasons that these programs have this disparity. I don't know if you, and like for some reason in my head, I'm imagining Mirvish to be a similar, maybe predominantly white space. Would you say that's accurate?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, even both on stage and off, like our audience,
Right.
our subscription audience, this subscription audience, like when plays come out, I always love to go and see them. Unfortunately, I'm one of the very few people of color in the audience, particularly
Right.
Black people. I look from left to right and I am not seeing, right? But that can be for a couple of reasons. However, when we did the kink in my hair for the first 6 months, it was just gray hair, silver hair,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it, right? So we would jokingly say we had versions of the play. We had
Right.
version A, B, and C. And there was one character, she was a young girl who was abused. It was just one of those monologues that people never forget. And she spoke heavy patois. And we'd look at Debbie and we'd be like, version C today. Because we'd look out there and we're like, they're not going to understand. So she'd have to really water down her language. And so our stories are not put on stage enough. And with that, the audience isn't coming out. Like, you're continuously not seeing yourself on stage. You know, if you notice when there is like Hamilton, like we come out in droves because we're seeing people. I would go anyways because I'm a theater nerd, but like people are coming out, like, and I didn't understand it until I myself was in the audience for The Color Purple. So I went to go see The Color Purple, and it was primarily a Black cast. And I was, for the first time, it took my breath away. And I was like, I can see me. I can see me. And so yeah, I really do wish, and it's not just people on stage, but I'd love to see more Black stage managers, some more tech people, you know, some more directors, some more playwrights. And it doesn't just have to be Black, like just visible minorities show up, you know. Yeah, because we have such great stories to tell. We're just not, but we're not given the opportunity. But if I'm also really honest, if we backtrack to family, a lot of us come from, my generation came from, like, you know, we were first generation Canadians, and our parents were like, we're coming to this country for a better life, and you want to do what? You want to be in the arts? And even the same thing now, like I do wish that the arts were pushed a little bit more, that parents would embrace that, to put their children in the performing arts, opposed to not always just sports. You know, I think boys are discouraged from being artistic, to learning dancing, to learning, and that in itself also comes, I feel, it's just my experience, maybe it's changed, but there's this deep fear and homophobia around little boys doing dance, little boys being in theater, and it's the farthest from the truth.
Since we were talking about parents, I just wanted to ask if is there anything that you would tell parents now? Like, if, I don't know if there's probably a huge list, but if you could pick like top 3 things, if like your kid comes to you and says, hey, mom and dad, I want to pursue the arts, specifically acting, singing, or dancing or something, what would you tell the parents like to do, you know, in this day and age now?
So my first thing to the parents would be the very thing that you don't want. If you choose to push something on your child, the very thing you're trying to push is the exact opposite of what you will receive, right? So the more you push me away from the arts is the more I'm actually going to be doing like what I want to do. It's not your life. And you have to stop living vicariously through your children. Because you didn't do something doesn't mean that your children now have to fulfill the things you haven't done. You know, my dad's a lawyer. He always wanted to be a bartender on a beach, right? How do you have those two things? But he didn't. He did what was, whether he was a bartender, he'd be, or whatever else, he did what he thought he should do. Go into law, right? His father was a lawyer. So I'm just like, let your child figure themselves out. Just let them figure themselves out. And whether they do the arts, whether they move away from the arts, like just even right now with COVID and living each day to like it's your last, just let them figure themselves out. Support them, but let them figure themselves out. There's too many programs in Canada where financially they can get supported. And you know what? If they fail, they fail. Let them fail. On the side of the students, and I used to say this at Broadway Bound all the time, and I will say this to you too, young ladies.
I'm so excited.
You must do more than what you're doing right now. So as a musician, and Alyssa, I don't know what your plans are. What are your plans?
I am also a musician, but I have dreams to be a speech pathologist to work with youth, and also to help the arts community grow in Toronto,
Okay.
and be hopefully a leader in that space.
Okay. Savannah, full time?
I'd like to be musician. I really enjoy doing this kind of thing, interviewing. I'd like to be a writer in some capacity, and I really enjoy comedy. So,
because I was going to say, just like when I started, 23 years ago, you've got to be more than just one thing.
right.
You've got to learn and be mentored by people who have come before you. My assistant for Real Talk Candles, she's a singer. She's a performer. And I met her at Soul Sessions. And she came up to me and she said, Rachel, I just want to absorb from you. I just want to learn. I don't know how you get audiences coming and, buying your candles. And if you guys visit my Real Talk Candles on Instagram, I have women that are taking photos with the candles, sending it in without me asking. And that is about building and creating a space, whether it's a stage, whether it's candles. And so ask for help. Go and put yourself forward. I hired her because at the time she actually wanted to start a Broadway Bound again. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really have as much time, but maybe I can get her to do something small. But when I started Real Talk Candles, the first thing I thought of was like, I can call Deanna. And she's learning way more than just, she's learning how I move. So ask. If you want to be a part of something, ask. Because I'll never know, right? So you must ask, and you must do the time. You got to put in your time. I put in my time. I did a lot of free stuff because I wanted to shake hands with the right people. I wanted to learn from the right people. And I did a lot of free stuff to learn.
Thank you so much for being with us, Rachel.
No
my
problem.
face hurts from smiling, and I'm just incredibly inspired. And yeah, I think your creativity, I think now to succeed, it just is going to take a lot of creativity, especially with COVID. And I'm just really ready to go now.
Thank you so much.
You're
We'll
welcome.
definitely
Mwah.
keep-
Have a great night, guys.
Ah, good
Bye.
night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.